And I am a Christian. I go to Centennial High School. I am a junior. Well, to begin about me, I wasn't born in America. I was born in Kenya. I came here when I was 6 and started school here. When I started school here, it was a bad experience because I got bullied a lot because I was different. I was just the foreign kid. But at the time, I was bullied. I remember this one time that I got in trouble because I apparently flicked off a teacher because I didn't know what that meant at the time, and I got in trouble for it. So they put me in a ESL. They didn't give me suspension, but anyway, I started drawing, and that's the way I would escape other situations. Besides that, I was born in a Christian home, and my dad was a pastor back in Kenya. I lived with my brother and my sister. Now, even though I was raised in a church home, I didn't know basically what I felt that I was a Christian because I went to church all the time. I didn't know that you had to give yourself to Christ. So when I was 9, I accepted Jesus as my savior, and I remember what it meant. I actually had all the head knowledge. I knew exactly what to do and what to say. But when I went to school, it was different because I didn't go to school with any of the people I went to church with. Second, I still got bullied, and then I moved here to Roswell instead of where I used to live, and went to school here. And I don't know, I felt angry all the time because of the pain I held inside. So I just always kept quiet and just was angry all the time, to the point that my parents tried to help me, but I couldn't let them because I was very angry. I didn't want anybody to deal with it or help me deal with it. So I remember I would go to church, act fake, and actually know all the answers know all the answers to all the questions, know the right things to say, and know all the Bible verses, but it really didn't matter. I remember in 8th grade, um, I was trying to see like I would go to church and figured out that I didn't want to live like a fake Christian when there's real people out in the world who are dying for Christianity, and I'm just here trying to put on a facade. So I remember we were at this retreat, and our youth pastor, we were singing, and I really didn't care that much for the songs. I just was just there. I don't know. I just felt like going because I felt like it was the right thing to do. So he said that there's no point of you singing the songs if you actually don't mean it. And I took that to heart. So I came back and had an emotional high, but I really wasn't. There's no change as soon as I came back. So I remember one Saturday night, a few weeks later, one Saturday night, me and my mom were watching TV, and for some odd reason, I didn't want to. She put on Billy Graham, which is like one of the biggest Christian evangelicals in the world, where basically he's just a preacher who used to preach in the 1960s and 80s, and he really reached the world. But I remember one of the verses he quoted was like Matthew 10:32, 33, which basically says, if you deny me before your friends, then Jesus himself would deny you in front of the angels and God. So it prompted me to become real, and going to freshman year, I actually got more involved with FCA and tried to do a lot of things as I could. And I was really good at the FCA stuff. Had good stuff, but I was kind of the type of Christian that judged people too much. So I felt that if anybody did anything wrong, that they were bad or whatever. So I realized that that was not my problem. It's just I'm just trying to live my life as an example for them to see. And I went to, and 10th grade came along and I realized the change. And when August 2011, I in August my we went to church and we were talking about salvation and whether if you were born again Christian but you were baptized in the wrongs, like you didn't know what it meant, like you had failed, not failed, but I mean kind of felt um felt like you didn't know what it meant to be a Christian, but you knew the things that it meant. So I understood that, and I felt that I should really do this, but I was afraid. No, it's not. It's like it's gonna be nobody's gonna do it. So, um, one time I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I got baptized again, and everything was going well. But one thing about being a Christian is what I realized is when you become a Christian, everybody's just waiting for you to mess up so they can just point out that you're not perfect. And the truth is, there's no such thing as a perfect person. So Christians always have to be labeled as the people who are like hypocrites and everything like that, and that's what people always see them. So basically, to me, there are some people who actually are Christian, and just some people who just put on facade, and I didn't want that. So junior year, so sophomore year, still, I mean sophomore year. Um, During the time, my brother was in and out of the hospital, and he went through a lot of health problems, and he was in and out of the hospital. And I remember that in March, towards the end of March, he went to the hospital because he wasn't feeling too good, and he stayed there for a long time, a month to exactly. Um, he was there. He was doing fine, and he was actually gonna come home. And one day, he had a bad morning because something went wrong, and he was he technically died, but the nurses revived him and he came back. But and he was just in critical condition, and um August 30th he passed away at 11 o'clock, and I got the news from my dad and felt kind of, I didn't know what to do. I was in shock because I actually couldn't believe that my brother passed away. So that night I went outside and just looked up and prayed that um, if I was actually in doubt of God that second. I was like, if God, if you're real, then why did this have to happen? Which is technically one of the most common questions when stuff in our lives goes south and we just happen to fall flat on our faces with people who just pass away. So I just realized I just opened my Bible and started writing